Hey everybody, this is Eric and Andre again from Pain Free Dental Marketing.
Andre.
Yeah, today we're going to be talking about a case study of a dental practice we worked with for 3 years now. It's actually a very common type of client that we get, which is an older doctor who has been practicing for a while. His practice has become a little bit flat, but they're now looking to boost their numbers so they can sell and have a better valuation when they go to market.
Yeah, we often get engaged about 3 years before someone wants to retire, primarily with the idea of boosting production. Dr. Heller is certainly in that camp. Now, ironically, he's having so much fun now. He's not selling, his case acceptance, and he's doing more implants and some all-on-4s and things like that. So he's definitely not doing back tooth endo anymore. But his production is good. So he's in fact kind of holding off on selling.
So if you're looking to sell your practice soon, stick around and learn more, because we're going to share exactly how we approach his practice, what needed to be different because of his age, and the end goal of selling within the next 2 to 3 years.
One of our partners, she's a CPA, her name's Jessica Nunn. She introduces Dr. Heller. They have a history that goes back forever. They're good friends. When Dr. Heller came on board, his website was ancient. His practice had really been aging. He had never done any marketing of any meaningful amount.
This is very common for us too. A lot of older dentists who, have built the entire practice based on referrals and just good dentistry and word of mouth, they feel a little hesitant of signing up for a marketing program. They feel like it's selling out. They feel that if they're a great dentist, patients would just come to the door. And while that may be true 10, 20, 30 years ago, it's certainly not true in 2020. What do you think, Eric?
Yeah, agreed. Dr. Heller came to us because he was old school dentist and never done marketing. He was pretty apprehensive about putting his name out there. It's true. If you've never done marketing, it is really difficult to get your head around the fact that you are the product and we are marketing you. The practice, the hygienist, they're all important, but the real marketable event is the doctor.
That means that even though you're gonna hate it, we're gonna have to get you on video. We're gonna have to get photos of you and the staff engaging with patients, because like Eric said, you are the brand. A general consumer doesn't know the difference between a good crown or a bad crown. They don't know anything about margins. They know how a dentist looks, how they make them feel when they come to their website, when they watch them on video, and the connection that you make with them. That's what we're selling at that first interaction. And so a lot of older dentists have a hard time with this. They hate seeing themselves on video and on camera, but it's just something you have to do if you want to get those great results from your marketing efforts.
It is, and Dr. Heller was no exception to that. And really, the plan we put in place for Dr. Heller revolved around getting him a younger patient demographic. And we started that by making his website appeal to a younger audience. A lot of times, dentists don't like their own websites. Well, we're not building a website for you, we're building a website for the prospective audience. And that happened here. If you look at Dr. Heller's website today, it's a much softer look.
And this is something that anyone watching this video right now can take back to their own marketing companies if they're working with someone and implement. Think about this website, like Eric said, isn't built for other dentists. You can't use dentistry terms, medical terms everywhere. You have to speak in the language that the patients are looking for. You have to talk in terms of the symptoms that they're experiencing, so that when they come to your site, they know where to find the information and what to do, so that it can be a more patient-centric information. That also means you can't be putting up those god-awful before and afters. They're bloody, they are scary, because that turns people off. And dentists love to show off their work and show off to their peers how great their dentistry is. But when it comes to building that online connection with your patients, you have to stay away from that stuff.
Yeah, and it's true. The befores and afters, we always say, those are for dentists marketing to other dentists. The mass population wants to see a finished product, but I don't always like to show the before, because I think you get into some interesting nuances there when people see them.
There's a time and a place for before and afters, and that's in your smile gallery or within a case study on your website. But that first interaction with the patient, it has to be warm, it has to be inviting, until you build a little bit more of that trust, until you can present them more technical, more clinical types of images to validate your expertise.
And that brings us back to Dr. Heller. Most people select the dentist first emotionally. We don't understand technical the technical elements of dentistry. In fact, most people only have one or two dentists in their life. They don't understand the technical merits of a good dentist versus an average dentist versus a bad dentist. We make that emotional connection first. And in fact, I don't even think people are really successful at selling implants and all-on-4s without that emotional connection first. Therein lies where we took Dr. Heller. We really started marketing him to a younger audience, to more family-centric, helping bring in those longer-term patients, because that improved his practice valuation for the doctor who was going to buy it eventually.
And it gave the practice more longevity, because his patient base was aging and they're getting to the point where they really didn't have a lot of teeth left to be worked on. So bringing those younger patients, that fresh blood into practice, is what rejuvenated his passion for dentistry, which in turn led him to not actually sell in the practice.
The second prong in the approach we took with Dr. Heller was actually taking advantage of his experience and expertise in being an older dentist. And that is, we started focusing on all-on-4s and implants in his aging patient base. Because for years he had sort of referred them out, and even working with Rachel Wall at Inspired Hygiene and Jessica at SkyTail, we were able to put a team around him that we were able to bring in oral surgeons and partner with periodontists in the area that supplied those, and he was working with him on the cases, and that boosted his production a ton.
Yeah, and Eric mentioned this briefly, but one of the things we feel were a big piece of the success for Dr. Heller was having that team around him. So every week in the beginning of the engagement, and as we progressed along, we moved it to every 2 weeks to every month, his entire team met together. So that meant his marketing team, being us, we had his CPA, we had his consultant. We're all getting on the conference call to talk about how the practice has been performing, what the numbers look like, what the schedule looks like, what needs to change. And the entire team was on board, including his front desk, because growing a practice isn't just a job for the marketing team running Google ads or Facebook ads or whatever advertising may be. It has to work from that to the phones, to the actual chair, in the way that he was practicing dentistry with 2-column dentistry, with the block scheduling in the front desk. The entire team had to work together to get the kind of results that we're going to talk about today. So now that you know a little bit more about Dr. Heller, we want to talk to you in more detail about the particular strategy and the things we had to account for in order to get him the results he was looking for. Because we talk about this all the time. Every practice is unique, between the age of the dentist, their ethnicity, their education, where they're physically located, whether they're a storefront or a standalone building. All of that comes into play when building the strategy. So we want to take this opportunity with the case study to give you specific examples about how we adjusted the marketing based on those factors.
And really the first thing we did is look at where Dr. Heller's patients were coming from when we engaged him. He pulled from a pretty broad geographic area. He'd been there a long time, but some pockets were heavier than others. And the first thing we did is get a live patient mapping of exactly the neighborhoods he was pulling patients from. And from there, we started putting together an ideal patient profile of these are the type of patients we are now after, and then this is where they're at.
Yeah, and I mean, this is something that really anyone watching can do. You can extract a patient list out of your CMS with their addresses and maybe first visit date or the procedure codes they performed. And there are tools out there where you can upload those addresses and literally map them out so that you have a live picture of the areas of influence of the practice. Because one of the things that we feel a mistake a lot of marketing companies do is they just draw a 3-mile or 5-mile radius around the practice, and that's what they do marketing. But the reality is, if you are doing excellent dentistry, you're providing specialty services like veneers, like implants, and you build a reputation, people are willing to drive a lot further for those services. So you can be throwing a lot of money away by just drawing a circle around the practice, when you can just as easily have a clear picture by downloading a patient list of addresses and mapping them out.
Yeah. And that actually tells us a lot of different things. Not only can we buy data of the people who are buying homes in the area, we also can start tailoring our imagery to that specific audience and our language to the audience, how cost sensitive they are, how much do we need to talk about quality of care versus demonstrating quality of care. Even the type of medium we use, how heavily do we spend on Google versus Facebook versus Instagram versus Bing and things like that. And, Dr. Heller, as we were pushing for a younger audience, we had to make some, strategic decisions around how to position him. We did use softer tones. We did, focus on a more female demographic. And interestingly enough, we made sure that when we were highlighting Dr. Heller in videos that we didn't put him next to the youngest person on the staff, because that actually made him look older, which made him unappealing to a broader audience. Under normal circumstances, people want a dentist within 10 years plus or minus their own age. Marketing's job is to broaden that to 15, 20, even bigger potentially. And it's true, younger dentists get the jokes around, am I your first crown? Am I the first time you're doing this? Older dentists get, are you still seeing new patients? And some hesitancy. So in Dr. Heller's case, it was use softer images that appeal to a younger group. Make sure we're not putting him next to the youngest office staff member, right? We were putting him with like sort of aged folks to highlight that. The other thing was to really focus on his CE courses in technology, because we wanted to show that he had, in fact, was cutting edge, had the latest technology in the office, and really ran an amazing office, because those are the things that 30 to 50 demographic really cares about.
Yeah, no, that was a big one, because older patients, they want an experienced dentist, and for the younger crowd, you want to make sure that you position yourself as staying on top of the trends and latest technology, because the younger population is looking for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we pestered Dr. Heller every time he went to a CE course. We would write about it. We'd add it to his bio. We'd run Facebook ads and Instagram ads and other things to really highlight the fact that, here's this dentist that has the best of both worlds, both the gentle hand and the experience and the technology to support it.
Now that you have a really good idea about the strategy we deployed for Dr. Heller, let's talk about the results, because that's what everybody really wants to know. So at Pain-Free Dental Marketing, we measured results by looking at the count of D0150s, or the comp exams. We know that sometimes that means that some new patients that come in for a limited exam won't get counted, or if you do any lap exams, they won't get counted. But for us, the reason why we focus on that is because a patient that comes in for a comp exam, they behave a certain way. They're more likely to accept treatment, they're more likely to come back for their next hygiene appointment, and they're just more productive in general. So that's why we focus on the comp exams.
On the screen now, and you can view the case study on our website, you'll see the D0150s, before we were engaged. The green bar represents the month we started, and after that, you get to see the results up to current. And we did this by taking a percentage of collections and managing that budget. We worked with the CPA to determine what he could afford at the time, and we agreed that 4% was the right budget for him. So we had 4% of his collections to manage. That went toward websites, photo, video shoots, ad buys, our time and energy as well. And that's the amount of budget that drove these results. And over that time, his production increased by 57%, and we doubled the amount of new patients he's seen. But more importantly, his production gains came from not only the new blood coming into the practice of those families, it also came from he was selling more implant and all-on-4 treatments as part of his program. So, it was kind of a perfect story of he got the younger families that increased his practice valuation and made it more appealing for a doctor to buy. And he increased his production while working fewer doctor days.
Yeah. And, on the production side, like Eric was mentioning earlier, a lot of this was he was just excited to do dentistry again. And instead of referring out those implants and veneers, he started doing them in-house because he was just excited about his practice again. So it really was a team effort in getting the results that we're talking about today. Yeah. And we're super proud of it. And he's still with us. He's one of our older clients, and we don't know if he's ever going to retire at the pace that he's going today. But we're definitely proud of him and the whole team.
Yeah, it's been amazing, and we love Dr. Heller and hope he's got 10 more years of dentistry in him.
So if you have any specific questions about anything we talked about, you want to know more about the details of the strategy around the ads themselves or the website changes we made, you can check out his website at jameshellerdmd.com to see. Part of that was making it fresh and appealing to a younger audience. There's a lot of things that you can learn from there. Reach out to us. We are always happy to talk to folks and give some advice and talk shop. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys again soon.